Here is a complete guide to gear in Black Clover Mobile. But first things first is where can you actually farm these pieces of gear? Well, in your normal challenges, you will have the dungeon. And the dungeon will have 3 different stages that are to do with the red typing, the blue typing, and also the green typing. And as you can see by these icons, these different stages will drop different types of gear. As the most popular gear stage is the power gear stage or the red gear stage, where you'll be able to farm speed, defense, and attack gears. But when it comes to challenging these stages, you gotta have some pretty specific team comps. As you can see right here, I have a complete mono blue team, as if you didn't know, in Black Clover Mobile, typing matters a lot, especially in PvE, as when you're of the blue typing and you attack someone of the red typing, for example, you will get an increased damage dealt bonus of 20% as well as 10% increased crit rate, which makes it really important for you to be able to actually farm these stages with the correct typings. But then also in terms of actually building your team compositions, the 2 most important roles in these teams are going to be your healer and also your defender or tank. As for example, my Sake is going to be one of the most important characters in this team for farming gear, as he is able to absorb pretty much 9 all of the damage that all of your enemies are going to do within this stage. But then to also then counteract all the damage that Sake is going to be taking, Charmy will then be able to heal all of that damage that he then takes, which basically makes you pretty much invincible. And then for the 2 other slots, as you can see, I've got Julius and Lotus. They are just here because they are really useful characters. But these characters really aren't anywhere near as important, as you can pretty much just use any other debuffers like Heath or any DPSs like Ghost to pretty much do just as good of a job. But with the better characters, it just means that you'll farm it faster. But one of the biggest issues a lot of people face when actually farming gear is actually getting the highest rarity of gears in that stage, as there's LR, UR, SSR, and then also some other lower rarities of gears that you can obtain. But to obtain the highest rarity, being the legendary rare or LR gear pieces, it's really difficult as the drop rates for them are really bad. So in order to remedy this, you need to do these things. As these red tickets right here are a great way of you being able to get the highest rarity of gear piece from a certain gear stage, as essentially what these things do is, apart from when you actually beat a certain gear stage for the first time, you won't use any of these red tickets, but after that, once you've beaten it for the second time, you will then start using these red tickets. And basically what these tickets will do will increase the chance of you actually being able to get the highest rarity gear piece from a certain gear stage. And this is probably one of the most consistent ways that you can daily get a good amount of LR pieces, but that is not the only way that you can also increase this chance, as food and also specifically Charmy Special Dish is going to be the best way that you can increase your chance of getting the best gear pieces in the game. As essentially what this piece of food will do will increase the gear drop rate chance by 10%, and that also can then increase depending on the actual rarity or level of the food. So to make this food, all you gotta do is come to Charmy, talk to Charmy, you go to cook, and then all you gotta do is find Charmy Special Dish, which you can use by using carrots as well as beef. And the best place for you to actually farm all of this food is actually going to be the Central District Patrol stage. As you can see right here, you can get beef as well as also carrots, which you'll be able to use to make the food. So now you know everything else to do with actually how to get the good pieces of gear. Let's talk about how to actually use them. As when gearing characters, you'll be greeted with this grid right here. And this grid is basically where you put your pieces of equipment, and different pieces of equipment will fill out a certain amount of space in this grid. For example, this piece here, the Ancient Major Satchel, will have a 2x2 size of it, or just like a tiny square. And then whenever I go ahead to equip this, it will take up a 2x2 square amount of the whole entire grid. And then there are also many different kinds of types of gear pieces that you can have, as there are these tall pieces that you can have right here. And then there are also the actual wide pieces as well. And knowing and understanding the actual how the size of these pieces will actually influence your CC and your power is a big deal. As for example, you don't necessarily want to just be putting any pieces of gear in randomly, as you'll end up wasting space like this, for example. So pretty much that there are a few combinations that you can use to be able to completely fill out the grid and also get as many set bonuses as you possibly can from your pieces of gear, as every piece of gear will belong to a gear set, and there are 4 pieces in each gear set, and basically whenever you either get 2 pieces of a gear set equipped to one character or 4 pieces of a gear set equipped to a character, you'll be able to get those bonuses. So this right here is the most popular combination of gears that people are going to use, as you'll have 4 of the tall gear pieces from a certain amount of gear sets, and then 3 of the small 2x2 pieces of gear pieces from any gear set as well. And as you can see right here, because of all of this, you're able to fill out the entire grid without wasting any space, allowing you to get as much stats as you possibly can. Now this isn't any optimal build, by the way, this is just something that I've just kind of thrown together right now. And then after that, probably the next most popular combination of gear pieces that people actually use is going to be 4 gear pieces of the actual wide ones of certain gear sets as well, depending on which character it's for. And then once again, another 3 of these small 2x2 ones. As with this sort of formation, you're able to easily achieve at least 3 gear set bonuses, whilst also being able to actually have another piece of gear spare for even more stats as well. Which then brings me onto all of the different stats that gear pieces can actually give you. As in Black Clover Mobile, gear pieces have main stats and sub-stats, which I'll get into a bit. And the main stats are basically the numbers that you can see on screen right here of all the gear pieces. And the main stats for all these gear pieces will always either be one of these 4 things, which will be defense, HP, attack, and also magic attack. So depending on the actual character, you'll want to equip the different types of gears based on the actual stats that they want and actually properly scale off with. So for example, my blue SR Charmy here is a healer that scales off of magic attack, so pretty much all of my gear pieces are just have all magic attack main stats, so I can heal as much as possible whilst also being able to do an okay amount of damage. So now that you know everything is doing main stats as well, we also have substats. And these substats are all of the things that you can see right here. As for this current piece of gear that I have, the Ominous Whip on my luck, he only has 1 substat. And as you can see by these locks right here, it means that I can unlock 3 more. And the way you unlock these substats is basically by going to growth and then upgrading your pieces of gear to when you can then use certain gears upgrade stones to then upgrade your levels of your gears to then unlock more main stat bonuses as well as also substats. And as you can see, after every 4 level increase that you get on a piece of gear, they will unlock a brand new substat. So what I can go ahead and do is just auto upgrade it all the way up to level 4, and then I can get an extra substat. So as you can see, I was able to then unlock a brand new defense substat whilst also increasing my gear's main stat from 2000 magic attack all the way to 2332. And now that we've gotten to +8, we'll then require the next upgrade stone, which would be the greater gear upgrade stone, which as you can see will then chug all the way through these to get all the way to +12. So there we go. Now I've gotten it all the way complete to +12. I've now unlocked all of my substats and I've gotten its main stats to the highest it possibly can be at. And you can do multiple things with these actual substats. As soon we'll be able to unlock all of these substat changing stones, which we'll be able to use to then change and I guess re-roll our substats. And then you can also come to the enchant section of your gear pieces and you can actually go ahead and actually enchant and increase all of your substats. As for example, this one for magic attack percent, I have these magic attack percent increased stones, which you get in places which I'll show you in a minute. As you can see, just by using the stone, I've been able to get a 1.16% increase in magic attack on that certain substat. So to get all of these enhancement stones, as well as the actual gear upgrade stones, what you're going to want to do is come to the City District normal stage, which is when once you've climbed all the higher stages in this game mode, or I guess challenge, you will then be able to unlock all of the substat enhancement stones, as well as actually the gear upgrade stones as well. But eventually you'll then end up, even when you farm these stages, you'll end up running out of these high rarity gear upgrade stones. But what you can actually do is actually use your other lower rarity gear upgrade stones to then craft them into even higher rarity gear upgrade stones. And to do this, all you've got to do is come to the hideout, talk to Gray, and then just go convert item, and then you can also do that as well. And then also in the Black Balls hideout, Vanessa is also really useful, as you can do a lot of other things right here. As you can also, first things first, you can also craft upgrade stones as well by using these certain upgrade stone powders, which you can get. And to get these powders, basically, you once again talk to Vanessa, go to the disassemble section, and then you can choose up to certain rarities of gear, and then you can select them where you can get gear upgrade stone powders as well as accessory upgrade stone powders, which I'll get onto in a little bit as well. And then what you do is you go ahead, you disassemble it, and then you get a certain amount of those dust and powders. So then I can go ahead and use all of these to then go ahead and then craft a bunch of upgrade stones, which I can then use to then upgrade my gear to make them stronger. And then you can also make accessory upgrade stones as well, which are used to upgrade accessories. So as you can see here on my Julius, there are 3 different slots, which are basically all accessory slots. And these also are basically very similar to gears, but do not belong to any gear set, but they also have main stats and substats that are only specific for certain roles of characters. And accessories are very rare pieces of gear, as pretty much a lot of the places where you're going to be getting them are going to be from limited challenges, but the recommended power for these kinds of stages is like 200,000, but you should be able to beat them under that recommended power limit. And you can also get gear enhancement materials and also just LR, other regular pieces of gear as well, from limited time challenges as well. But where you can also make all of these things is also through Vanessa, as you can go ahead and design accessories, design gear pieces, and also craft gear pieces as well. Well, let's start with actually designing accessories, and basically once you've chosen this option, you'll be able to choose between an earring, a ring, a necklace, or just a random one of the 3. So for example, say we wanted to make a necklace, we would then be greeted with this option right here to then be able to design a necklace. So what you can do is you can go ahead and put a bunch of gear pieces into this bar, where you can then increase your chance of getting a certain rarity of accessory. As I've gone ahead, I put 10 LR pieces of gear into this thing, and now I have a 5% chance to get an LR piece of gear, and then a 90% chance to get a piece of UR gear or accessory, and then a 5% chance to get an SSR accessory. And then you can go ahead and choose the role that you want this to be for, as once again, accessories are specific for different roles. And then you also have these stones or materials right here, which can be obtained from these methods right here. gear. And basically these are all the different region shops that you can get in the game, but you need to be able to increase your actual world level to be able to buy these. So basically I can go ahead and I can drag this slider all the way up to then basically use this to be able to increase the chance of me being able to actually get an LR piece of accessory. But you can only go up to a maximum of 10%, as you can only use up to 400 points worth of these abrasive stones, whatever they're called, which means you do have a pretty low chance of actually getting them. And then not to mention they also cost one of these SSR shared mage pieces as well, which you will also be using to rank up your mages, so just keep that in mind and just make sure that you don't deplete all of these. And then you can also go ahead and design actual pieces of gear as well, and this will basically pretty much be the exact same, where you can just go ahead and select whatever pieces of gear that you want to use in it, and then you can select the actual block size of it, and then it's literally the exact same thing when you design a piece of gear with a certain main stat as well. And then finally you can also go ahead and craft your pieces of gear, as currently there's only one gear set that you can currently craft, which is going to be this gear set right here, which is the cave exploration gear set, which will give you fortify and then like shield and barrier, whatever. And you're going to need this divine dust, the wishful dust, as well as the bloody moonstones. And the only really place that you can get these currently is going to be through the world boss exchange center, which is a limited time event that the game will have. As you can see here, for 1,000 of the boss's currency, you can go ahead and buy a gear crafting material chest, which will give you the exact number of materials that you actually need to be able to craft the pieces of gear for a certain gear set. So there you have it. That is a complete guide to gear in Black Clover Mobile. Leave a comment down below if I missed anything off, and then I'll try and answer any questions in there. And if you enjoyed this video or it did actually help you, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.